Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Once again, it is your friendly neighbourhood nerd, Nick Banks here for all things PlayStation 4. Today, we're going to review For Honor. First off, if you're as plugged into the video games industry as I am, then you'll be well aware that Ubisoft has been experiencing woes lately. It's been having troubles with sales figures in the areas of Dishonored, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. All of these have underperformed with sales, but now Ubisoft seems to be upping the ante, coming out with fresh IPs like For Honor, and Ghost Recon Wildlands is coming out very soon. So with For Honor hitting the shelves first, will it be enough to keep Ubisoft's head above water? First off, let's get into the gameplay. As we all know, For Honor's frontline feature is its famously touted Art of War control system. Fighting one-on-one, you must match your opponent's stance while locked on. Up, left, right, and occasionally down, depending on the hero you're playing as, can frantically be pushed on the right stick in attempts to match the enemy's stance and block. Attacks feel extra weighty, and so do blocks. Screw up enough times and you'll lose your head. Of course, this is very reminiscent to boxing kind of mechanics. It's very fresh, it's very original, and frankly very welcome in the games industry. As I'm sure you can imagine, these kinds of mechanics start to get very interesting with other players online and the unpredictability that comes with the territory. Where Ubisoft's newfound ambition starts to fall down is when this system is expected to be applied to any more than a one-on-one scenario. While the system itself is easy to understand, applying it is a different story altogether. While wrestling with this matching stances to block and differing stances to strike, the system is fantastic for one-on-one standoffs. But when more than one opponent is in the mix, applying this alternating stance formula simultaneously with two opponents, it's a bit of an ask. And unless players dip in and out of the hot zone with sweeping strikes here and there, they'll likely get ping-ponged about in a very frustrating manner. And once the combos start to land, unless you get lucky and predict the direction of the next blow and parry it, then there's literally no reprieve. Unless you get a small window in which you can roll away and catch your breath for a little bit. Very frustrating indeed, especially online. However, there is a solid argument with online that teamwork is especially encouraged. So, are we just saying the only way to win online is to gang up on the enemy? Wouldn't that remove all personal, lone wolf kind of tactics from online play? That's a debate, I suppose, for another time. Of course, I'll get into the multiplayer in just a moment. Firstly, it's interesting to see how For Honor has smartly taken video games' hottest trends from the last year. In For Honor, we can see many things that gamers have praised this generation, all rolled into one game. We have the tactical lock-on, timed attack and dodge system of Dark Souls, the variation of gameplay seen in different heroes, like in Overwatch, and the MOBA format to multiplayer maps with left, right, and center avenues to clash with the enemy. And as the icing on the cake, Ubisoft have clearly selected three of our most beloved ancient civilizations to clash in an epic battle royale. To roll all of these things together was a very smart move and blatantly designed for multiplayer and for a lengthy post-release marketing plan, so we're lucky to have received a campaign at all. In that full CG pre-release trailer that I'm sure we've all seen by now, Apollyon goes on to say, 1,000 years of war. Well, how the hell is anyone still alive? Anyway, For Honor's campaign, yep, sure, it's pretty dumb. It's basically a game version of The Deadliest Warrior, but that show was brilliant fun. Ironically, there's very little honor to be found in For Honor's campaign. The Vikings are portrayed as mindless, bloodthirsty brutes. The knights seem a little more intelligent, but they're just waging war for the sake of it. And lastly, the samurai spend most of their story killing each other. Then there's the lack of honor found in getting clobbered over the head from behind when at low health online. Again, something to crack into later. So, if you do your best to forget that not every samurai soldier had a katana, as it was not cost effective and should especially not be so in a post-apocalyptic world, not every knight wore badass tanking armor, that was a privilege saved for aristocracy, and Vikings never ever wore helmets with horns in them. If you can forget all of that, then the campaign is indeed pretty fun. The Art of War is a far more enjoyable system when you can sit down with it on your own, learn it, become efficient, patient with it. It's not a learning process that's available online, and if any historical accuracy is to be found for the academics out there, it is in the fight choreography. Different civilizations fight distinctly and convincingly. And so we have arrived at the multiplayer segment. As I have previously inferred, there is a thrill to be found in going head-to-head with other players. Since For Honor's release, its multiplayer has found brilliant success. Ubisoft has even reported matchmaking issues due to an oversaturation of players. Yet it's the humble opinion of me that kind of activity is a result of post-launch curiosity, and that is an equal likelihood as a loyal post-launch player base. You see, as enjoyable as the novelty of functional online melee play may be, the multiplayer is fraught with issues. Yes, I said it, I went there. It's not a very popular idea right now, I know, but these issues can be ignored by me, a reviewer. They are problems that have taken several dozen matches to draw upon. Now, don't get me wrong, each of the heroes have been balanced fantastically. They each play differently and take just the right amount of time to master. None of them are any worse than the other if in the right hands. But, like I said earlier, when things get overcrowded, all skill or tactical application get thrown out the window. Getting ganged up on happens a lot. So sure, a lot of people will argue that teamwork is essential here, but with the MOBA format of map building, uneven clashes tend to happen more often than not. On the occasion that you do get a decent one-on-one focused fight, some other player could just come along and finish you off from behind, regardless of how well the fight may have been going for you. And it goes both ways. Most of your kills will likely come from kill stealing or whacking an unsuspecting straggler as they desperately run by you. If you're on the bad end of this, it feels unfair, but if you're on the good end of it and you're in a winning match, you still feel like you are unfairly winning. Adding to this chaotic formula is the unlock system. Like many multiplayer games before it, For Honor rewards the player gradually not through application of skill, but from time spent playing. And what this means is that if one person is less skilled, but has been playing for longer, they will have an unfair advantage. Buy this game at any point from now, and you should expect to work very hard to reach the level of other players. These unlocks boost stamina, attack power, and defense, and these are all big deciders in a fight, ones that you will have to work hard for if you're not like little Timmy. Little Timmy here is in school. He plays video games in all of his spare time. We, who have jobs and less spare time, will get our asses kicked by little Timmy time and again. Lastly, I'm sure many of you have heard about this peer-to-peer networking that Ubisoft has implemented for Honor. This frankly surprises me with a game that is supposed to be bringing them up in the sales department here, and yet they've introduced peer-to-peer. What this means is that any one player will host a match with their internet connection. So if they leave the match, then the host needs to be migrated. Sure, this happens every now and then with other multiplayer matches, but the peer-to-peer setup with For Honor means that in the middle of what will probably be a tense battle between you and another player, you will have your game paused and the fluidity of the fight interrupted. Of course, this is very frustrating, and that goes without saying. But, like a bad gambling habit, For Honor's multiplayer is still very addictive, and due to its frustration, you will be keen to get back into the next session, hoping that it is better than the last. But ultimately, with all of this chaotic formula at play in any one match, it certainly begs the question, is there any honor left for the noobs? Moving on now to the graphics segment. All of these gripes aside, For Honor is still really cool, and like the coolest kid in school, it also wears the coolest clothes. Graphically, For Honor delivers a great experience. You'll get the most out of the medieval visual bazaar in the campaign. We've come to expect great character models from Ubisoft, and For Honor is no exception to the rule. Each playable hero has been painstakingly crafted in every imaginable area. Scarred, battle-hardened Vikings look great, samurai armor and blades shine in the sun, and knights are convincingly gritty and chunky, with their crest sash blowing about in the wind. Each character has this meaty credibility to them, especially when hacking their way through lesser soldiers. Both mechanically and visually, seeing each of the heroes in action is eye candy. If you've seen any of For Honor's release trailers, expect your experience of the finished result to be very similar. Cutscenes almost look like full CG, and despite the weak story offering, they find a lot of strength in just how good they look. No frame rate issues were encountered in my time with For Honor, and graphical errors are nowhere to be seen, with the singular exception of the Nodachi sword. This is the next size up from the katana, and it was poking through my helmet as it rested over shoulder. Other than that, For Honor is technically tip-top. And finally, the verdict. Will you be one of many screaming "Honor!" at your screen on each load of the game? For Honor is a coin of two sides. A completely new way to engage in melee combat is welcome, but may have you screaming during online matches. We could debate all day if sucking online is due to, inverted commas, not being good at the art of war, or slightly broken unlock systems. As a result, For Honor's multiplayer offering is both awesome and awful at the same time, somehow. Playing it will certainly help you to understand what I mean by that. The campaign is not very inspired, and it has an ending that just sputters out. But for the duration, it is indeed very fun, and having that singular personal experience with the art of war is undeniably an unforgettable experience. But if the negatives that I've gone through in this video put you on edge about making the leap to a purchase of this game, then maybe wait until things get a little bit cheaper. That brings us to an end with the For Honor review for all things PlayStation 4. I have been your host, Nick Banks. If you enjoyed this video, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button down there, and I'll see you guys on the next video for all things PlayStation 4. Peace out, guys.